Welcome to People Love Process. In 2021, I decided to do a personal creative project for the entire year. So every day I created at least one design and I called the series Modern Culture. So what you're looking at now is some of over 350 designs that I created during that year. Actually, I created 374, I think, is the last total. And today we're going to create 370, I think, 7 now. I've created a handful over the last couple of years. And I usually do it when I just want to do something. I'll just keep adding to the collection. So in this movie, I decided to create another modern culture design and show you how I approach them. The reason why I want to do this is it's a simple style anyone can do, and you don't even need to use complex curves and Bezier handles because it's a great way to leverage shape building methods and functionality in Adobe Illustrator. So with that said, let's get started. Now, the thing that holds this collection together isn't the theme. My theme is all over the map. I just did whatever I wanted to do during that year. And so it's goofy, crazy, a lot of lore, a lot of animals, and just a lot of funny stuff. I still like the hot dog one. That's kind of a funny one. Now, when I would approach this, I would use a drawing template and I'd print this out. This 8.5 by 11 is our document size here. And then I'd draw on it. And that's assured me that even though it's a rough drawing that I would utilize, it would stay within the proportion of a square. And the inner square on each of these shapes is the edge of the design would be here. This would be what would end up being the outline of the final artwork. So these are the templates I used. It's included in the exercise file here. I've also included some other things you can dive into, which is a build file on one of my favorite designs, which was a koi fish. And I include that in the exercise files as well. So the thing is, you don't always have to use a template. So whenever, like a few weeks back, I was in a meeting or something, I can't remember, but I was just kind of doodling. That's how I pay attention, ironically, so I don't lose track and my mind goes somewhere else. So I pay attention by drawing, and I'm not really thinking when I doodle like this. And so I created this, and you can see it's obviously not a perfect square because it's slanted, but that's okay. This is good enough. I take it into Photoshop and I just make sure it aligns with the format we're going to build in. So this is at the exact size. So all I'm going to do is select this like I always do, and we'll set it to like 15% just so we can see it, lock the layer here, and then on the layer above it, this is what I use to guide my building. This is the edge. You can see the drawing goes to the edge all the way around, and we're going to build this artwork using the same methodology. What makes the set or collection of images work is because it's all using the same tolerances. In terms of this style, we're going to be doing a lot of shape building using strokes. So we're just going to build this from scratch. And normally when I created design like this during that year, I would go as fast as I could, and that's what we're going to do here. So we'll go ahead and get started, go to graphic styles, select a size here, and I'll go ahead, and one of the shapes I use quite a bit in this style, make sure we're on the build layer, is like for the hand. And don't be afraid to zoom in. So we're going to start there, and I'm going to use a circle because we're going to make scallop shapes like this. Now, if you want to use the square, you could start there. If you don't have a plugin, you could just do it like this. And you could go ahead and select the square and just round all the corners to get it like that. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. Or if you have a plugin, I kind of prefer doing it this way, grabbing the dynamic corners plugin from Astute, starting with the circle. That way, the reason why I choose this way is because I can reuse a shape like this. I can just go ahead and bring it down. Eventually we'll use it for his teeth. I'll just rotate it around and that'll work great for his teeth, maybe his nostril shape as well. But if you wanted to start with this, you could as well. And the other thing is, I don't always need a complete capsule if you wanted to think of it that way. But we'll go ahead and leave this one in here. We'll bring this over like that. And then this one looks like it's a little too fat based off of how I size this. So I'll go ahead and copy this one and we'll snap it to this one. And you can see it's a little short. So what I do is I'll start like this and then I'll just scale it up so it matches closer to what my sketch is. Maybe this one, we just go ahead and select these anchors. I make that one ever so slightly shorter, and then we'll take this one and I want to snap this to the edge like that. And then we're going to cut these with the scissor tool because we have the hand going down. And that's the other thing I do is I use the pin tool to create some shapes because they don't need to be closed paths. So if I go like this, I'll bring this up here, select these two like that. And on this design, since we have the exact same hand on the opposite side, we'll just copy it over and I bring it until it snaps to this anchor and snaps to that anchor. So that'll make the bottom part here. Now all we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and this is where isolation mode comes in handy, is I might take these two, group them, double click into isolation mode, and then I'll just grab the scissor tool, which is found under the eraser tool, and I'm just going to cut here and here. We'll cut this one here, and we'll do that side. Take these, don't need them, just delete them, because we'll stop it at this part of the hand up here. And then I'll go here, we'll figure out something like that. And then I'll just focus on the corner I want around here. I don't want it to go all the way up. Kind of something like that. Take this, clone it, Command-C, Command-F. Go to the reflect tool. And reflect it down to create the palm, something like that. On this one, though, we're going to cut it right about here. And I'll cut it here. We don't need this segment. Now I'll take this one and I'm going to go ahead and cut it here and here like that. This is just so I can see what I'm doing here. And I'll drag this one over and we can get rid of that anchor. Drag this one down, snap it to that. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and unite these two here and then get rid of this one. And as long as it's on a straight, you can use this remove selected anchor in the control panel above, like that. And then on these, I'll just go drag these up until it hits this, like that. We don't need this one, we'll delete it. I'll drag this up to the corner, like that. That's fine. Actually, it doesn't even need to go to the corner. We'll go up here. Something like that. And on this one, I think I'm going to put a little round here, like that. And then this will go down and snap to that anchor. So we have all the content here. On this path, we want to make sure that round cap is turned on. That just looks better than having it truncate to a flat cap, which this does. But this will be kind of encompassed when we fuse everything together. And once I get it here, I'll go ahead and ungroup it so we can select these. So we have that hand, and I'll go ahead and select this. One thing I tend to do quite a bit is I'll go up here, I'll put this in the center just to double check because I don't trust snapping in Illustrator since they still haven't fixed the bug. And I'll align it to the center. So on this hand, we want to take all these hand shapes. I'm going to clone them, Command-C, Command-F, or you can use the duplicate button in the contextual menu bar, which I have deactivated because I don't like it. It gets in my way. So there we have the hand on one side. So anything symmetric, you only have to build once, which is kind of nice. Teeth, we'll just move this up here. I'm going to go ahead and create the mouth. And then I think on the mouth, I want it to start. Oh, I just noticed something. We can go into this. I wasn't paying attention. Then I delete that. So this one will just go down into there. So again, it doesn't need to be a closed path. You can see we have this here, and if I select this side, it goes all the way up like that. So that's fine. We'll just go there. I'll join those, and then I'll just get rid of that anchor point. I should have done that. I wasn't paying attention to the bottom. So we'll go ahead and re-reflect this. We'll clone it. I have that set up as a F3 key keyboard shortcut, so that's what I do to clone, then bring it over. Now that's ready. Let's go ahead and go to the rectangle tool. Again, shape building, simple shapes, simple geometric shapes. And I think we'll do something like that. I'll take this and clone it, Command C, Command F. Something maybe actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go object path, offset path, do negative, I think 10, maybe. Preview it. Yeah, that's good. Take these anchors, drag them out. Just making sure this is on top. I have, again, a keyboard shortcut to bring it to top, F5. So it's above this one, so I can select both of them, go to Pathfinder, go minus front. And then I can take the front part. These are this character's lips. And we'll round those. And I can take these anchors here, and we can round, round this one first, since it's a different size. And we'll round that one. So we have his lips built. Now we can go ahead and do his teeth. I'm going to just make this a U shape. We don't need that. Anytime you avoid paths overlapping other paths the exact same way, it's going to make life a whole lot easier when you expand it, because you won't get like redundant anchor points. You'll still get them because that's still a thing in Illustrator like that. Then we can duplicate it. This guy only has 3 teeth, so that's fine. So we can get rid of that one. Then I'll get rid of that one. So I optimize as I'm building. Okay. Now on the key to this one is I want his head to come all the way down here. So if I take this and I snap it right there, that'll be the front edge of his head. Then I'm holding the shift key down so it stays in that alignment, kind of like that. And I'm going to go ahead and clone this. And I'm going to bring this one. You can tell my drawing's not perfect. That's okay. We'll do that. Actually, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go like this. I don't want to put it here because it'll make the inverted area here too sharp. So I'll do something like that. Actually, I'm going to do that again, because I might make these bigger like that. Then I can go ahead and just copy these to figure out the sizing like this. And I think I'll do one more. Then I think I'll size it based off of that, like that. That's better. I usually sample the weight. With this, I can go ahead and unite them. And then we'll go to the scissor tool. cut this because I don't need this line. I'll bring this all the way down here, and then the leg will kind of snap into that, and then we'll round that. Bring this all the way here, like that. We can create his nose. We just need to connect this bridge there. That can be just a simple line. And we have this line going through, but first let's go ahead and do the nose. Like that. So using the corner fillet, if you don't have a plugin, to rounding is key to work in this style. You don't need plugins to do any of this. You could do this natively in Illustrator. Pretty simple since version 1. Plugins just make the process go a little faster. Like that. I'm going to bring this over kind of about here. I might change this once we apply the thickness. You might be going, what do you mean by thickness? Well, all of these essentially, if I select these, right now they're not even a point. These are ultimately going to be 4 points like this with rounded like that. And you can see how this is so close there. I'll bring this over just to improve the aesthetic like that. And then we need to extend this one over like that. Again, I should have probably done that before I copied it over. So again, we'll copy the hands over. Like this. Find a central anchor point and reflect it over. And then let's go ahead and do the glasses. Like that. So all these things, if we take all of these, including this line here, we can use eyedropper to sample this. So I think that's looking good. I'm thinking these teeth, we might add one more tooth in here. I'm going to bring these over right about there. Like that. I think we can have one more, so I'm going to try that. And snap it. That looks good. Although I might want this, you know what, I'm just going to leave it 3. I think that'll look better. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this. We'll just copy it. So I'm always copying stuff like that. This will become the nostril on his nose. Like that. Let's see if this is going to impede over here. Give it a round cap. I think it's fine. I just don't think we'll have it loop down as much. I'll just cut that off kind of like that. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might adjust this just a bit. Might make his a little less wide. Resample the stroke. Just so I can nudge this one over there. That looks better. We'll do his eyes. His eyes are pretty simple. We'll just use the elliptical tool. I'll drag it over until it snaps, just like that. Then this is probably the only part that won't be an outline. Is I'll clone this, Command-C, Command-F. This, we're just going to do a fill. Since this ultimately, the outline will be black, like that. And then I'll just take the rectangle tool, draw a shape on top just to cut off the top. Actually, that's a little big. Size it down a bit, like that. There we go. And here's an interesting plugin. I showed you this in a few weeks back in another movie. And again, it's not something I use every day, but if I wanted this to hit this edge of the lips, this edge of his eyeglasses, and this edge, and do it evenly, it'd be really hard to kind of pull that off. If I select this, we just color it something different. So you see on top, you know, it's close here, not close here, and definitely not close on the right. So if I'm trying to eyeball it to get all of them to align, how hard would that be? Well, that'd be pretty hard, especially on a curve. 90 degrees a little easier because, frankly, you could select this like this, and you could go align top. So now it's aligned to that side. I could select this shape, and align it to the right. But this down here, you can see, isn't going to work perfect. You'd have to go to keyline view to do this. And that's Command Y, by the way. But if you hold it down, you could get it close. And that'd probably be close enough. You don't have to worry about it. You know, obviously it's the wrong width. Let's put it like that. You could do it that way. Is it perfect? Probably not. And just to test it, we'll move this out of registration. I'm going to go to this tool called Snap to Collision tool. It's called Collider Scribe by Astute Graphics. And when I drag this over, notice that pink node shows up. That means it's snapped to there, it's snapped to here. And if I move it around ever so slightly, boom, all three of them will highlight. Pretty close. That's so close, you're never going to see it once it's like that. So it's kind of a cool tool. Again, I don't use it all the time, but when I do need it, man, it just speeds things up quite a bit. Okay, so we have his hands. I think I'm going to focus on his legs now. And I want this to come down. And we're going to use a rectangle here. Then I'll just cut this here and here with this scissor tool. And we'll figure out, I'm going to go back to the thin. This is why I don't build it for the most part with fat lines. I'll test it after I build it. I'm going to go back here and make it thinner just because I want to be able to see my drawing, and it's harder to do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this because I want the heel of his boot to hit on this line. And this will just help us figure out what that angle will be. And I'll put the rotate tool here so I associate the orientation. And then I'll just move this up. Actually, before we do that, let's make this line longer. Go back to the rotate tool, set the orientation on this anchor. Then I can grab this path. Oops. Like that. Let's try this again. Here. And then I'm just going to rotate this object all the way up until I hit that anchor right there. And I think you can see the top part of his leg. My drawing wasn't very accurate. And that's okay. That happens all the time. Like that. Now, on this one, this is where I'll highlight it. And this is a feature I use all the time now that I figured out. Astute Graphics added it. Is if you have smart objects or smart guides turned on, you can select an anchor and kind of slide it down its own path. And it will snap and stay at that angle. And you could go all the way down like this and then let go once it gets here. That's nice. Now, if you don't have that, or if that's still hard for you to do in Illustrator, you have to go slow. You can't do it fast. Astute has the capability, you can highlight the anchor. You have to change tools to the Path Scribe tool, which is part of Vector Scribe. But as soon as I start moving this, if I hold the L key down, it just locks into that angle, and I can go a lot faster and figure out where it's going to go and drop it. So it just depends what you want to do. Now, what I can do here also that makes it easier is I could select these two paths. They're just open paths. I can go to the shape building tool, hold down the Option key, which will minus path, and I can highlight this, minus it, highlight this, minus it. So now I get the same thing. So it's a combination of methods in Illustrator, and we'll just select this now, and I'm going to go Command J. That kind of fuses that together. We're going to lose our styling. That's okay. We'll just take the eyedroppers, sample any path we already have and restore it. And then on this one, this is where I'll just round it. We'll just use the corner widget like that. And then for the detail in his feet, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line here and snap it like that so it's at the right angle. And I can bring this up. Actually, yeah, I'll bring that one up here like this. Duplicate it. This is the cuff of his pants, basically. So what I'm going to do is just select these, and because I built it based off of that, I'll go up here until it snaps on this one. Then I'll just select the original path I made. We'll color it something different like that so you can see it's on top. And then, oh, you know what I shouldn't have done? I should probably do that first. So we'll copy that. We'll make this one blue. I'll bring it down here because we do want it to hit on the bottom. So I use one shape to help adjust and compose the other shape. So I think that's fine. Again, I don't like building this big, so we'll go back to a thinner one here. I'll go ahead and cut this one here because, oh, no, actually, I'll leave this line because that'll help us. So I'll just drag it on the path, kind of like that. And this one, I'll go back right about here. All I'm going to do is start off with this one, go up here, snap it like that. Going to grab the line tool like that, snap it. So I'm always snapping on shapes I've already built just because why create the wheel? We'll go Command J like that. And then I can just slide this one down. And I'll go over like that here. There we go. And then on this one, I'm going to use this where the plugin comes in handy. So I have this one highlighted. I'll click on it and drag and hold L down to get that angle like that. And then I'm going to go all the way up here. I'm going to purposely, let me think for a second. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take this. I'm going to clone it so I have a copy of the blue line. Select these two. And I'm going to hold Option down and just get rid of this part that overlaps. Then we can get rid of the copy of the blue line like that. On this one's going to be a little different. We're going to handle it a little differently. I'm going to just take the rectangle and build it. I think I want it to be about the same height as that, so I'll snap onto that. We'll change the color like this. And then I want this shoe to go right into that point. At least that's what I thought. I might change my, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just drag this over because it's not going to touch this once we round it. I don't think it will, at least. We'll bring this one up a little further like that, and we'll test this to see what that nice shoe. Doing. Okay, I think that's gonna work. Like that. We'll cut this line. We don't need that. Drag this down, snap it to this one. I usually group something like this, double click in isolation mode, focus on the anchor, Command J, Then you can click out of it like that. Did that create a redundant? Of course it did. It's Illustrator. Why would it not? No problem. We'll just delete it. It's a straight line. This is where I go in and I'd round this. I like that his shoe is so rubbery. Boing. And you have to make that sound when you're doing stuff. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm going to try to read. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and apply the thickness, see what it looks like. I like that shoe. Okay, we're going to take this, we're going to clone it like this. And this is where I'm unsure, so I'll usually pull it out like that. And then I'll go ahead and cut it right here. We don't need the head. We're just doing the opposing shoe like this. And I think on this one, go ahead and rotate it like that. And we can base the bottom there. And then drag this over to the side. Boom. Like that. Oh, you could see on my drawing one leg's larger than the next. Let me think about this. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I think it'll look fine is, okay, I'm going to take this shape. I'm going to copy it just so you can see what I'm doing. Let's color this one, that. I'm going to take this, actually this one, and I'm going to snap to that end anchor, come up here, select these two, go to the shape builder tool, hold option down, boom, like that. So I'm just doing this to give myself a registration point. We won't keep this line in here, but we're going to keep it for now. This one, I'll drag all the way down to right about, we'll go right about there. Now, I think that'll work. We'll try it like that. I'm going to drag this up and it's going to snap because I think we can use this line to be the opposing side of the other leg like that. And now all we have to do is create his knee part. So that saved a little time because he's trying. Oh, now that I'm looking at it though, his shoes not. Well, you know what? Maybe we just make his shoe bigger. I'm going to go back to this one. This is where, you know, I'm always trying to improve stuff as I'm going. So let's do this. We're going to try making this a little bigger. Put this at a slightly different angle. Doesn't matter, I don't think. Yeah, I like that. That works. Now we're just going to take just the shoe shape, clone it, go over here, and we're going to see where this hits compared to the other one. Let's go ahead and color this yellow. I did a pretty good job. That's pretty close. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and fudge it. So maybe he's born with 1 foot a little larger, a little larger than the other one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, go here. I'm going to remove these rounds like that. And I'm just going to select these, drag them up first, then drag it down to snap into that corner. Get rid of this guy. We don't need his old shoe. Now re-round it. So technically, his right foot is fatter than his other one. Okay, there we go. We'll take this guy. I'll bring it down here just to get that angle. Like that. We'll select these two, Command J. And then I want to give more round. There we go. That looks good. And I don't, this is fine. So it doesn't have to be perfect anyway. Let's go ahead and we'll create, oh, actually, I'll just take the circle template, circle ellipse tool, and do something like that. Select the leg, select the circle, go to the shape building tool. And this is the ideal job for the shape building tool. I wouldn't use Pathfinder ever for that kind of stuff. Okay, we just need to do his arms and his ear, and then we can start coloring it. You can tell this guy doesn't really have a shirt. His neck goes right into, basically right into his pants, but he does have sleeves. So where are those sleeves coming from? I don't know. You're not supposed to ask that question. Okay, let's go ahead and finish the sleeves. So we'll go here. Maybe that deep, something like that. This we can get away with just using the line tool. Actually, we'll go all the way down here like that. And then he has collars on his sleeves. Has to be properly dressed, okay? And then I did have this one coming all the way down like this. But obviously we don't need it to go through his lips, so I'm going to cut it here, cut it here, and delete that. And then on this one, actually, let's first do this. We'll take this, I'll clone it, and I'll go to the reflect tool, go to the central anchor point, reflect it over on this side. And you can see I add a shorter arm back here. So we don't even need this one. So I'll just delete that. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we don't even need that on that side. We'll just move that over and it'll become that part. Slide it up like that. Oops, I forgot to make a copy. Like that. By the way, these go a lot faster when I'm not explaining stuff. We'll make that go over. And on this one, we'll cut this one right about there. And we'll cut this there. Select that, get rid of it. Okay, I think we have all of our base artwork. I think these collars are a little too thin. Let's nudge those down a bit. I think that looks good. Oh, his ear. He needs to be able to hear. So let's go ahead and, boy, that almost rhymed. I was about to say, he really needs to hear. Let's build an ear. Okay, so we'll make it direct like that. Cut the rectangle because we don't need this side. Actually, I'm going to make his ear a little lower. Get it away from... His glasses don't fit him very well, do they? Now that I'm thinking about it. There we go. So he has an ear. I think we have all the elements like this. So this is how I initially create the base art. And once I have the base art established like this, we can turn off our sketch now. This is where I'll take the artwork like this. I don't need the guides for the squares. I'll copy it, go to this layer, and I'll just paste it. And all we're going to do now, once again, this is how big it is on an 8.5 by 11. We're just going to go to scale. I'm going to go to 200. That makes the outlines now. If we select, the only thing not an outline is the pupil in his eye. If I select this, these will now be 8 points. And so what I'm going to do is select all the lines. It's at this point that I'll create the black line work like this and the black fill for his eye shape. like this. And now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if I like this line going through his nose. Let me do that. Does that look better? Maybe he's not wearing glasses. Maybe, you know. So I always do this. I always second guess myself on stuff like this. I think what I'm going to do is just make it a line. I think that's cleaner. Oh, you know what's bugging me now is I wish his thumb kind of aligned with this line. Okay, now my OCD is getting the better of me. Okay, like that. So you can see the thumb doesn't really align. So now that I'm looking at the thumb, I'm going to put more space there. 3 on both sides. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to try something here. I'm going to select these top anchors in this side. And I'm just going to slide them down until it snaps. Like that. And I like the continuity that it carries through. This is what I call, and I did pay attention to this kind of stuff when I was creating the series. This is what I call contour continuation. The contour of this line into this part of the art. I love when that can happen because it just improves the readability of the design. It's really a big thing when it comes to logo design as well, and iconography for that matter. Okay, so I think this is better because I made a change. I want to always keep the editable vectors. The strokes before I expand it. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer here. And I'm just going to put new detail just for the sake of clarity. And all I'm going to do now, oh, you see down here how you get that little notch? We're going to snap it so it's nice and clean. Okay. All we're going to do now is we're going to select all these, and I'm going to go to Object, Path, and I'm going to go to Outline Stroke. So it creates all these shapes. And then with it still selected, we'll just go ahead and go to Pathfinder and go Unite. Now, notice we get now Illustrator doesn't tell you this. This is a plugin, Vector Scribe. PathScribe is one of the tools in the Vector Scribe plugin, but notice this comes up, and if I hover over it, it says remove redundant points. So right now we have 363 points, even though under Pathfinder, if I go to Pathfinder options here and I open it, we have remove redundant points turned on, you'll still get them. I've showed you that before, but it's always good to remember that. That's why I love plugins like this. Because I was actually, when I first discovered this, it was another plugin called Better Handles. And the guy who developed that plugin, his name's John, he saw a book I was publishing with all this artwork in it. And I was kind of complaining about all these redundant points that I'm trying to fix now in the art that I noticed. And he goes, well, you have Better Handles. I know you bought it from me. And I go, yeah, I love that tool because it allows me to do this and that, you know. And he goes, well, did you not notice that it had smart remove of redundant anchor? I'm going, what? What are you talking about? And he showed me. Well, eventually, Astute Graphics bought out Better Handles, and John became the head engineer for Astute Graphics plugins. So that's the backstory on this feature. So I'm just going to go ahead and click it. It's 363 anchor points. If I click this, oh, there's just one redundant anchor point. Okay, fat chance you'd ever find that. So that wasn't a huge deal, but that's how I resolve it. I go in where there's an anchor like this and just smart remove those, like these on the straights down here on his leg. I'd select that one, maybe this one right here, select that, and we just go ahead and smart remove it. Because it's on a straight line, that's okay. If it's on a curve, you wouldn't want to use the feature up here. So if I go to Keyline View, everything is a shape now. Right now it's see-through. This is just the background of the artboard we're on. So if we go up to Object and we go to compound. I'm going to release the compound. You might have to ungroup it. Let's go up here. Nope, I think everything ungroup. I'm going to select all these inside shapes, and we're going to color them white. So these are just sitting on top of the background shape of black. We don't need this one because that'll essentially be the background. We don't need this one. It'll be the background, or the one right here. These will all be the background. We'll get rid of those because ultimately we'll still see this like that. That's fine. Now what we're going to do is, this was 8 points here. This is where I want to kind of create a fatter outline. So if I turn this off and we go back to modern culture, notice it had a fatter outline. So ultimately the final gaps between these colored shapes, these were 8 point. And if we go 8 point out here, then we did it an additional amount out here. So that's what I want to do now, is kind of create that illusion. So if I select this, and we'll just, so you can see it, I'll go to outline. I'll add an outline to this thickness out here. Ooh, I just noticed an error right here. Okay, this one. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is easy to resolve. I'll do this, then I'll go unite. Then I'll go in, select this, and delete it. So that's how I'd resolve that. You will run into that. So pay attention as you're working and fix it as you go, like that. Let's add to this outline. Right now, this is just 1 point. So every time you go 1 point, it's going to the inside, going to the outside. So we added a 1 point line, technically adding a 5 point. If you want to do it to the outside, if we click this, you'll see it looks a little fatter. That's because it's actually doing the full 1 point to the outside only. And then if you add to this, you would just figure out what you want that tolerance to be. So maybe on this one, we want the tolerance to be, maybe we're adding 4 to it, so it becomes a 12-point outline like that. Or maybe you want it a little thicker. I think this gets a little too weird looking here, so I'd back it down. I might go with something like that. It just depends on what you want. Now, my tolerance for this set, it's been about a year since I've done one of these. I want to say it was 8. I want to say that it was 4 additional to that. I believe that was it. Once I did this, then I go to object again, I go path, and I go outline stroke, and then I'd unite. And now we have all these shapes. Notice you're going to get some of these artifacts in the middle. Just double click, select all, deselect the background shape, then just delete those artifacts. That's how you clean up as you go along. So we have everything here. The one thing I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing, and this is where I'd usually kind of just show a few things and then jump to the next phase. This is where I go in on elements like this, and I would add like subtle rounding here, just add elements like that. I'm not going to do that because that actually takes some time to do that. All we're going to do is we're going to have fun just coloring it now. And these were all the color palettes I used. It was all limited to the same color palette. That's what made the set kind of unique. I'd usually shade lip colors like, oops, all fills, no strokes. Like that color. We might make his nose orange. He has a colorful personality. And I try to pick up on some of the same colors and then limit everything to just using those colors in a motif like this. Maybe something like that. Maybe the lime comes down here. Like that. Orange again. He's wearing jeans, so we'll give him jeans. And we'll go in here and set this to like 65% tint to get those cuffs. Jeans, maybe these are both that same tint color. You know, if you wanted to, you could go in here on a color like this. Let's say the back ones you wanted a little darker. Since they're pushed to the back, you could add black, create this new swatch, bring it down. I'd position it next to a lighter color, turn it into a global color. And then on this global color, I can select these tints, select the darker. So it kind of gives it a little depth. Not that that's a huge thing. I think his lips need to be more pinkish. Let's try. Ooh, that's not good. I'm going to mix a custom color. Something like that. There we go. So a new lip color. I'll add that here. Turn into a global color. Like that. Okay, his shoes. We'll do these a nice brown. Something like that. Okay, his hands. Make the palms, oops. Ah! Recolor the shoes. Make his palms here orange. I don't know about the lip color still. Maybe I have too much yellow in it. Yeah, that's better. I'll make it a little lighter. I like working with whole numbers, so I know it doesn't, I swear it makes a difference, but I don't think it really does. It just makes me feel better. Okay, I think all of his fingers we'll make yellow. Maybe his thumb. He has a green thumb. He's a gardener. There we go. Okay. We'll color these yellow. And then his shirt. What color could his shirt be? Maybe this is kind of the... Oh, forgot this one. Maybe his ear then becomes... orange. And we'll do a tint here as well on the collars of his shirt. Something like that. So that's how I would create the artwork here. Now, of course, I didn't go in and what really adds to the characteristic of the art, and you'll see this in the example file I include in the exercise files, is going in and doing subtle details. So I'm just going to do the teeth here because this is how I'd handle it. I'd just select all of them and just put a nice little subtle round on those shapes because I just think it looks even better when you do that. And I do that on the nose, everything that would benefit from that. And even at times because we're using a thick line style, I'll see something like this and I'm going, you know, I'm not sure I want to leave it that way. And so I would go ahead and we'll just try it. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. Oh, you're screwing up the art. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to actually select this anchor, start dragging it until it goes below this angle. Then I'm going to bring this one over and then I'm going to unite it like that. I just think maybe if we have a less extreme circle here, it'd look better. You know, like that. And again, this is where I would go in on areas like his heels. I think these would look better with the subtle round on it. Something like that. Again, that would just take time to do that throughout the whole art, but you can see the difference between the heel. I think this looks much better. So what I can do is I don't have to recreate it. I'll just rotate it into the correct orientation. And all I need is just this part. So I create a shape, select both, intersect with Pathfinder. And just so we can see the alignment, I'll go ahead and do this, snap it here. And then all I'm going to do is lop off. I'm doing heel surgery on this dude. Okay, take his shoe. I'm a vector cobbler. I'm changing his shoes. Okay, we'll minus front. One of the stupidest names for a feature in Illustrator. And we'll unite it like that. And again, as you go along, if you want to clean up stuff like this on a straight line technically here, actually, if I double click into isolation mode, I think we might have, what am I doing? Why can't, okay, that was kind of weird. Don't want to do that one. Just want to do that one and smart remove it. And again, this on a straight line, so I'd smart remove this one as well. Okay, there we go. So even though it's a simple style, a simple aesthetic, it's a lot of fun to work in. Now, one thing that I did for each of these series, I get the final art done like this, and I group it, copy it. I go to a new layer, and we'll just call this one pattern, because I like creating a pattern with it. And I'd reduce the size like 50%, something like this. And so the tolerance I have on this one, again, if I take the rectangle tool and snapped it to one edge, snapped it here, and you go up to your control panel, you can see this one is 6 points wide. So if I wanted to kind of make a cool pattern to get this gap consistent along all my artwork in my design, to get the 6 point, you'd want it half. So here's what I usually do to kind of accomplish that. I'll go in here and I'll just slide it till it hits that center, and now it's 3 is shown in the control panel. So this is the tolerance I want to do it at. And then I would bring this down here, snap it like this, ungroup, just so you get access to the black. And we're going to go, and this isn't going to be part of the final pattern art. This is just to help us register it. So I'm going to go offset. I'm going to go minus, right now 10. You can see that looks horrible. We'll go -3, like that. And so now we have that. I'll go ahead and deselect it. This one will just be a registration point for us. So all I'm going to do is select all the fill colors, deselect the outline of the black, group the fill colors. Then this, I'm not going to worry about it being black. We're just going to go to graphic styles. I'm going to color it like this, because all we're going to use that for is to register the artwork. So I'll select this, I'll clone it, Command-C, Command-F, and I'll rotate it 90 degrees like that, slide it over. And now if I zoom in, I will use the corner heel to hit right there. That's fine. Then I'll go ahead and select both of these, clone them. Like that. And then I'll just zoom in again, select the corner heel, bring it up till it snaps like that. This will make sense as we now move into the pattern tool. So actually, what I'm going to do is just create a new layer. By the way, if you haven't noticed by now, I love having all my layers this one color. Unfortunately, you can't put it in a new document setting. So let's go pattern fill, because we'll put it to the test on that layer. So I'm going to take this now, and all I'm going to do is go to swatches And I'm going to drag and drop it in here. That creates a pattern swatch. Make sure you deselect this. And now if I double click on that pattern swatch, it's going to automatically go into grid mode, and that's fine. And it'll snap to the edge. If you go to the pattern tile tool here, and I pull this out like this, and I pull this one in until it snaps to that edge. I pull this one in until it snaps to that edge. We'll do the same thing on the bottom. And I tend to go to the flat side edges to snap. Like that. So now all of these have the same gap in between them. So I'm going to select one and go Option F1 is the keyboard shortcut to select all same, in this case stroke, and delete it. We just use that to do registration. Now we can name this whatever we want. Oh yeah, pattern, like that. And you can just hit the escape key to get back to your artboard. We'll turn on this layer here. And all I'm going to do is grab the rectangle tool. You can see the fill will fill automatically. We're going to go to the appearance panel and we're going to select the fill layer. We're going to add a new fill. It'll default to whatever we use. So the pattern on top, but the one below, I want to use black. And you can see we get a cool pattern here like this. I think it'd look even better if we select the pattern layer here. Let's go and zoom in a little bit. It's a little small. There we go. Selecting the pattern fill layer in the appearance panel and going to scale, deselecting transform object. So it's just scaling the pattern fill itself like that. Like that. And then if we go to the rotate tool, we can do the same thing. We can rotate it so it's at an angle. I think it's a little more interesting that way. Like that. And that's how you can create a fun little pattern like this using a character like this. So this is what we ended up with. And it all started from a crude sketch. So this is a style any of you can pull off. It's not hard to do so. Remember, I've included my modern culture build files and the exercise files for this movie. That includes the drawing template. That includes one of my favorite pieces, which was a koi fish design, and you can deconstruct that. Along with the final art you see here, so you can kind of compare it to what you might create. I also want to end this episode by just showing you a really cool time lapse of my favorite one out of all 300 and some odd designs I created that year. It's my personal favorite, and it's based off, once again, Nefetari, the Egyptian queen. So that's how I want to end this episode. And I encourage you to create your own. Take these templates and the build file template that I also provide in the exercise file and see what you can come up. The theme can be anything you want, and I think you're going to have fun, surprise yourself using this methodology. If you find my channel's content helpful, I'd appreciate a like on this movie or any movie you enjoy for that matter. It all helps me to reach a greater audience and share the creative process with as many people as possible. And I really do appreciate it. So until next time, thank you for watching People Love Process. And stay around because coming up right next before this video ends is a pretty cool time lapse.